This is the first of 10 brief podcasted linked podcasts about the first phase of the German Revolution from October through to December of 1918. Okay, so podcast 1 looks at the sailors' mutiny in Kiel. This is important because it's about the creation of the Soviets. Soviets, remember, are basically councils of the lower classes. They spontaneously formed in the early phases of the German Revolution in factories, on the boats, in the navy, and also they started to form in the army as well. Remember, what Soviets were basically, in a sense, almost self-help organisations. At first, they were not political at all, other than the fact they were motivated against the upper classes. So, in a factory, that would have been the factory owner. In the navy, that would have been the commander of the vessel. In the army, that would have been the army officer of the regiment. Basically, the lower classes coming together saying, we're not going to obey you unless we actually are happy happy with what you're telling us to do. But they were not particularly politicised, and when we say politicised, that means at this particular stage they were not motivated by overthrowing the system, although that did begin to change, and that's an important thing that you need to pick up on. Okay, that it wasn't a fixed situation, it did vary and it did change over time. So the key word there is spontaneous. By the 6th of November they had spread. The first one was the mutiny in Kiel on the boats, but it quickly spread to the shore side, not just in Kiel, but it's then started to spread to the factories, the major cities and the ports in North Germany. Once Soviets were forming, they started to join up, and these Soviets claimed executive authority. And the executive authority basically means we will decide whether what we are being told to do is the right thing or not. Okay. The old order. When we say the old order, we basically mean, as I say, the people in command, whether it's the commanders of the boats or whether it's the people running the factories, offered little resistance. And in practice, these people who were, we call them the old imperial officers, because the factory owners were imperial officers. They were usually from the upper classes, etc. Were not removed. Okay, so that's what I mean. They were not politicised at the moment. It wasn't about getting rid of them. It was about simply, we're going to basically not be told what to do without actually having an opportunity to talk about it amongst ourselves. Carr there concludes that at this stage, this was not really a revolution. Okay, so you've obviously got to consider the issue: was this a German revolution? Well, it was a fluid situation. If you look at the membership of these Soviets and ask the question, how far were they politicised? You ask, well, you look at who these people were. Many of them were not members of a political party. They were just simply nominated people from the factories or from the boat. But increasingly over time, the political parties, the left-wing political parties, remember the SPD has split into the USPD and the MSPD, got wind of this, and they started to get themselves into these Soviets. And so they did become, over time, more politicised. The Soviets, on the whole, were controlled by the majority MSPD. So if we do see political influence in the small towns, they were controlled by the majority. And remember, the majority MSPD were not revolutionary at all. They were, on the whole, loyal to the Tsar. In the cities, in the bigger cities, they were a bit more extreme. The independent socialists, who were more to the left wing, got an influence, but very few of them at this stage were controlled by the revolutionaries, by the Spartakists, and they were the people who really wanted to overthrow the Kaiser. So on the whole, the Soviets were not politicised. Okay, there's a nice quote by Carr there, which you could use. And if you look at what they were demanding, that very few of them were demanding true socialism. Okay, they were demanding reform, they were demanding economic change, but in terms of true socialism, which is overthrowing the upper classes, you don't actually see that in their demands at this particular stage. Okay, so that's the first of the 10 podcasts. Thank you.